You believe kindness saves you. You think it is a shield, a virtue, a light. But what if every act of kindness you've given has only hollowed you out, carving deeper spaces for others to occupy until you no longer exist? What if kindness is not salvation, but the slowest, most exquisite form of self-erasure? Psychology calls it pathological altruism, when the very impulse to help becomes your undoing. You give because you crave the relief of being useful, because the discomfort of another person's suffering gnaws at your nerves until you silence it with sacrifice. You call it kindness, but the brain calls it compulsion. Dopamine drips into your veins each time you relieve someone else's burden. The act is not selfless. It is chemical bribery, a hit of control in a world that will never stop demanding more. You think kindness lifts others up, but does it not also push you further down, grinding you into a shape that fits only the needs of everyone else? Consider the trap of reciprocity. Social psychology shows that humans are wired to repay favors, but when you are too kind, the balance shatters. People stop seeing you as equal. They begin to see you as service. The invisible ledger in their mind erases your debts and replaces them with expectations. You become predictable, automatic, a dispenser of empathy. And the cruelest part? The more you give, the less they value you. Their resentment grows, not their gratitude. They resent your kindness because it reminds them of their own inadequacy, their own selfishness. Have you ever wondered why, deep down, the people you help seem colder when they look at you? Empathy is not infinite, it is fuel. Neuroscience shows that the mirror neurons that let you feel another's pain burn out under constant strain. Compassion fatigue sets in, the slow numbness of a mind that once cared too much. You smile while giving, but inside, you feel less and less. The irony is brutal. Your kindness erodes the very capacity to feel kind. Soon, your gestures are hollow rituals, performed out of habit, not heart. Yet others will never see the rot inside you. They will only demand the performance continue. How long before you realize that your kindness has become a corpse you drag behind you? Attachment theory whispers another cruelty. Kindness often hides a desperate plea for security. You learned, somewhere in childhood, that love was conditional, that affection had to be earned through compliance, through pleasing. So now, as an adult, you offer kindness compulsively, not because you want to, but because you fear what happens if you stop. Every smile, every concession, every sacrifice is a secret bargain. If I am good to you, you will not abandon me. But people sense this. They feel the hidden hunger in your giving, and it curdles their respect. Is it kindness you're offering, or is it only your trembling fear of being left behind? Cognitive dissonance twists inside you each time you give more than you want. The psychology is simple. When your actions contradict your desires, your mind rewrites the story to protect itself. You tell yourself you wanted to give, that it was your choice, that kindness defines who you are. But the truth is colder. You obeyed the demand of the moment, and then manufactured meaning after the fact. Your identity as the kind one is not chosen. It is patched together out of excuses, stitched over a wound. And as that mask hardens, do you even remember what your real face looked like before you wore it? Boundaries are the skeleton of the self, yet kindness corrodes them. Assertiveness research shows that people who struggle to say no often compensate with excessive helpfulness until their identity becomes porous, almost transparent. Each time you yield, you weaken the borders of who you are. And with every favor, every concession, you invite others to trespass deeper. Soon, they no longer ask, they assume. They no longer thank, they expect. And you, hollowed by habit, feel rage flicker beneath your smile, but it dies before reaching your lips. If your boundaries collapse completely, will you even recognize when you've been erased? The dark side of self-improvement is the cult of selflessness. Positive psychology tells you that helping others makes you happy, but the studies rarely linger on the aftermath, on burnout, exploitation, resentment. You are told to give, to serve, to be endlessly generous, because that is the path to meaning. Yet meaning built on service is fragile, because it depends on other people needing you. What happens when they don't? When the silence comes and no one asks for your help, who are you without the role of savior? Isn't it strange how quickly kindness collapses into emptiness when there is no one left to receive it? In clinical psychology, there is a term, codependency. It sounds harmless, almost affectionate, but it is a cage. You attach yourself to others' problems like an anchor, disguising it as love, as support. You believe that if they fall apart, you must hold them together, but in truth, you need their brokenness more than they need your kindness. Their wounds justify your existence. Their chaos gives you purpose. Without them, you would be forced to confront the emptiness inside yourself. Isn't it terrifying to admit that your kindness is less about generosity and more about keeping your own hollowness hidden? Even in evolutionary psychology, kindness is not what it seems. Reciprocal altruism evolved as strategy, not virtue. You help so you might be helped later. You give so your tribe will not cast you out. But stripped of its evolutionary function, your endless giving becomes maladaptive, a glitch. You still act as though survival depends on appeasing others, even when the modern world rewards cruelty, selfishness, and dominance far more than submission. Kindness, once a tool for survival, now makes you prey. Tell me, do you realize that in clinging to kindness, you are following an obsolete instinct that ensures your own destruction? Consider learned helplessness, not just in victims, but in you. When others lean on your kindness long enough, they stop solving their own problems. They collapse into dependence, and you become their crutch. At first, it feels noble, almost divine, to be the one who holds everything together. But slowly, you notice the trap. They cannot walk without you, and you cannot stop helping without shattering them. Their helplessness becomes your prison, their weakness your sentence. What if the kindness you thought was strength has only trained others to need you in order to remain weak? Social comparison theory adds another blade. Kindness becomes a weapon others wield against you. You give, they take, and then they use your own generosity as a mirror to shame themselves, or worse, to shame you. They mutter that you're too much, too selfless, as if your existence itself is an accusation. Resentment festers because your giving exposes what they refuse to give. And so, the more kindness you show, the more alien you become, set apart, isolated, silently punished for the very trait they demanded from you. Do you see how quickly kindness can turn you into an exile? Clinical studies on people-pleasing reveal a paradox. Those who sacrifice most for others are often the loneliest. You drown yourself in their needs, thinking it will bind them to you, but in reality, it pushes them away. Relationships built on kindness alone rot from imbalance, one giver, one taker, until the connection collapses. And when it does, you stand in the ruins, bewildered, whispering that you gave everything. But no one wants everything. They wanted you, not your endless offerings. So tell me, after years of giving yourself away, is there anything left inside you that anyone could actually want? Identity theory cuts deeper. The more you define yourself by kindness, the more fragile you become. What happens when someone rejects your help? When they sneer, dismiss, or mock your offering? It isn't just the act that's denied, it's you. Rejection of your kindness feels like rejection of your existence, because you have fused your worth with your usefulness. This is why it wounds so deeply, why it lingers for years. You no longer know where kindness ends and you begin. And if kindness is stripped away, who are you when nothing remains to hide behind? Consider martyrdom syndrome. In psychology, it is the pattern of deriving identity from suffering for others. You convince yourself that the more you endure, the more meaningful your life becomes. Pain becomes proof of virtue. Exhaustion becomes a badge of honor. But in truth, martyrdom is a performance of control. You bleed in public, so no one notices you are terrified of being unseen. You romanticize your depletion, but it is still depletion. Strip away the illusion, and what is left? Just a person who mistakes their own slow death for love. Do you see how kindness here becomes self-annihilation? There is also the trap of moral licensing. Psychology shows that when people act generously, they unconsciously give themselves permission to act selfishly later. But the inverse is true for you. The kinder you are, the more pressure you feel to keep being kind, as if one lapse would destroy the entire illusion of who you are. You live inside a tightening loop: give, justify, repeat, until you can't stop even when it hurts. Every act of kindness becomes both proof and prison, both virtue and chain. How long before the mask you wear stops being a mask and becomes your skin? Burnout research shows that relentless kindness produces not serenity, but emotional numbing. At first, you feel drained. Then, you stop feeling at all. The body adapts by shutting off empathy, detaching you from others' pain and from your own. Outwardly, you still smile, still nod, still give. But inside, you are a hollow shell, performing kindness like a script you can't stop reading. No one notices the vacancy behind your eyes, because they are too busy taking. When the performance is all that remains, do you even remember what genuine kindness felt like before it died inside you? In trauma psychology, there is fawning a survival response where you appease to avoid conflict. It masquerades as kindness, but is really fear in disguise. You learn to anticipate others' moods, smooth their anger, offer help before it was asked, because danger lurked in disapproval. Now, as an adult, you call it generosity, empathy, love. But the truth is harsher. Every kind gesture is a reflex of terror, an attempt to control the unpredictable world around you. If kindness is only your armor against violence, then isn't every smile just another flinch, frozen into permanence? There is also compassion collapse, a documented psychological phenomenon. The more suffering you encounter, the less you respond. One hungry child moves you. 1 million starving faces leave you numb. Your kindness fails precisely when it is most needed. And yet you blame yourself for the numbness, pushing harder, giving more, even as your brain quietly shuts the doors. You cannot save them all, but the weight of that impossibility crushes you. So you scatter scraps of yourself everywhere, pretending it matters, while knowing deep down that your kindness evaporates against the scale of suffering. Isn't that the cruelest truth of all? Self-determination theory reveals another fracture. Humans need autonomy, competence, and connection. But when your life revolves around kindness, you surrender autonomy to the demands of others, sacrifice competence by neglecting your own goals, and distort connection into obligation. Your basic psychological needs, those pillars of mental health, crumble beneath the weight of your giving. You mistake exploitation for intimacy, self-abandonment for virtue. And when your needs remain unmet for too long, despair seeps in silently, convincing you that you were never meant to have needs at all. If your kindness has starved your own humanity, what, exactly, are you feeding others? Think of emotional labor. Sociologists describe it as the hidden work of managing others' feelings, soothing, placating, anticipating, smiling. For you, kindness has become endless emotional labor, invisible yet exhausting. You carry the moods of everyone around you, shape-shifting to whatever will keep the peace. And yet, no one pays for this labor. No one even notices it. Your exhaustion is dismissed as sensitivity, your silence mistaken for serenity. Inside, you are screaming, but the scream never leaves your throat. If your whole life is spent carrying the weight of emotions that aren't yours, when will you collapse under it? Psychodynamic theory suggests repression always returns. The resentment you bury beneath your kindness festers in the dark. You smile at those who drain you, but inside you curse them. You say yes while your body whispers no. And every suppressed fury seeps out sideways, in bitterness, in exhaustion, in self-hatred. The more you repress, the more monstrous it becomes, until one day the mask may slip, and all that kindness will unravel in a single violent eruption. When that day comes, will anyone believe the rage was always hidden inside your smile? Even cognitive behavioral therapy warns of core beliefs, the silent assumptions that shape everything. Perhaps yours is this: I am only valuable when I am kind. Every thought, every choice bends to reinforce it. You ignore evidence to the contrary, twisting insults into signs you must try harder, bending rejection into proof you are not yet kind enough. Your life becomes a loop of service and self-erasure, all to sustain a belief you never chose but inherited. And if that belief collapses, if you are not valuable through kindness, then what is left of you at all? Neuroscience speaks of neuroplasticity. The brain reshapes itself through repetition. Every time you yield, every time you give when you want to withhold, you etch deeper pathways of submission. Your brain rewires around compliance until resistance feels impossible, even dangerous. You are not choosing kindness anymore. Kindness is choosing you. A reflex, a groove, a trap your own neurons built brick by brick. Imagine the very structure of your mind has been meant to keep you endlessly useful to others. If kindness has rewritten your brain itself, how could you ever escape it? The illusion of control haunts all compulsive kindness. You give because it makes you feel powerful, as if generosity can bend chaos into order. But deep down, you know you control nothing, not their gratitude, not their loyalty, not even their perception of you. You give, and still they leave, betray, forget. The truth is unbearable. Your kindness does not protect you from abandonment. It only delays it. And in trying to control others through giving, you've surrendered the only control you ever truly had yourself. When the illusion shatters, who will you be without it? So now you see it. Kindness is not light, but shadow. A pathology disguised as virtue, a prison you have been taught to decorate as sanctuary. Every act of giving has stripped something from you: autonomy, boundaries, desire, until the person who began this descent is no longer here. You thought kindness would save you, but it has only hollowed you into a vessel for others' hungers. And the final cruelty? The world will not mourn your collapse. They will only search for the next kind soul to devour. If kindness has consumed you entirely, tell me, what remains when there is nothing left to give?